Hey everyone, welcome back. BetSperts Golf. Here to talk about the 2023 second version. It's kind of where we are with all these swing season events. For the Zozo Championship at Accordia Golf Narashino Country Club, just outside of Tokyo. Andy, I could see it on your face. I could feel it in your beard. Excited to talk Zozo today.
Palpable excitement.
Oh,
Yes, it is. This was one too. This was a weird one. We had it in America one year
we
because
did.
we had the pandemic, so they just said like, we kind of want to have this tournament because they were having a lot of luck that year when golf came back and like no other sports were coming back. Golf was like, hey, we need to keep this rolling. We can't go overseas though. Fuck it, have it over here. Just doesn't matter. If Zozo's fine with it, we're fine with it. And they did, and that wasn't a bad tournament as well. But yeah, it is a Japanese course. It is a weird event because it is a smaller field. This is a no-cut event with like 78, I believe, in it. You're going to see a bunch of people from the Japanese tour, as well as I don't see some kind of high-ranking Americans. There's some bigger names in this one,
Yeah.
to be sure, and maybe a little bit of a, obviously it's not what we'll see next year with the elevated events. Those will be massive fields. Like everybody goes to those. The money's so big, plus there's some requirements. But a little bit of a preview of what we're going to get next year, I guess, with some of these smaller field events. Get used to this. Get used to no cuts. You do need to reset your brain a little because the odds are going to look a little different. There's not going to be, we're not going to be working our way into the 100-to-1s quite as much on things like this, I don't think.
Yeah, the combination of a few things here, it makes it tough. So we have, as you said, small fields, no cut, and then we have no shot link data here as well.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little bit harder. We've only come here. This is the fourth time at this event, as you mentioned, at this course, as you mentioned, because we had the COVID year. But yeah, decent field. It tends to be like the best swing season field. This year we have 16 of the top 50 from the official World Golf Rankings, which is, pretty good. I mean, for the most part, a lot of these guys we won't see again for quite a while. So, pretty decent field overall. And the only PGA sanctioned event that happens on Asian soil. So we get a, pretty good, Asian crowd here. And then, as you said, you're going to get a lot of the Japan tour people here as well, which makes it even a little bit more interesting because we have truncated fields and then you have like 20 people from the Japan tour. So even, the guys we're familiar with, the top tier players in the world, even smaller there as well. So it makes it a little bit harder to handicap because, yeah, as you said, we're having to go into the top of the board, quote unquote, is a little bit bigger than normal because there's just so few options in general.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you have Xander. Xander's won in Japan. Xander won the Tokyo Olympics.
Yep.
So he's had some success here. Obviously, we've had a few other guys who had success here. It doesn't matter how Matsuyama's playing. He's just going to be near the top of the board here. He's one of the bigger names, and he's won here if I remember correctly. Obviously,
Correct.
Ricky was in good form. Didn't get to see him play, nearly as much or as well as we thought at the Ryder Cup with him having the diarrheas and then only getting to play on Sunday, losing that match. But yeah, some good names: Colin Sungjae, Minwoo Lee coming off a win in Macau. Adam Scott, Eric Cole, heavily backed last week. I'm trying to look who else we had. That's it. That's everyone.
Keegs.
That's all the names. Keegan is here. I know. I was just doing that to you. Keegan is here.
Defending champ.
Fresh up. Yeah, defending champ, fresh off his pout fest for not getting to go to the Ryder Cup. And kind of obviously a decent course fit. He won here. You want to talk a little bit about this course? Because it is a goofy setup. And kind of in the suburbs of Japan.
Yeah.
Chiba Prefecture, in case you're familiar with the geography and locations of that. But outside of Tokyo, good looking course though.
Good looking course. They love their golf in Japan. They try to play it year round. And what that means is it gets a lot of foot traffic. So we have a very unique setup here where we have basically every hole has multiple greens. One in play, you get relief if you hit onto the wrong green, but it is kind of a wonky, unique setup here. Shorter course because again, it is in. I mean, look, it's it's an island. There's not a lot of room. They try to build up,
That's true.
but it is pretty tight there in Japan, and par 70. And though it's not really long in terms of actual yardage, it plays a little bit longer because there are a lot of, well, first of all, you have a little bit of weather. You typically have it's a little cooler, a little damp typically. And then you have like these, because they're trying to make it as long as possible. There's a lot of dog legs, and a lot of them are on longer par fours and are designed to really prevent you from cutting them off. So you like, bombers really can't cut corners here. So it does, even though on like the scorecard it plays a little shorter, or it looks a little shorter, it plays a little bit longer than the length as well. So forced layups, and you think of kind of how Hideki plays. This is like a perfect type of course. You really have to be accurate. You have to control it off the tee just to kind of cut the dog legs. The rough is not very penal here, even though you'll see like a pretty, based off of the data we have, shorter than average fairways rates. Greens and reg are still pretty high here too. So like it means you can miss the fairways and not be in a ton of trouble. But again, you might not have a great angle into the green here as well. So positional golf, Colonial is a comp that Ron makes in his, which I find interesting. We like some of those guys that played well at Colonial and they are in the field. This is a, again, there's some of that Zoyza stuff on the fairways and rough too. So you get a little bit of that like grabby, spongy, bouncy nature in terms of that too, which helps sit the ball up a little bit.
Yeah, like you said, positional golf, there's probably a case to be made for, there's going to be shots that go into the rough that are a lot better off than being in the fairway. Sure. If they're on the wrong side of the fairway where I can't go over these trees, I can't get through here, I'm actually going to have to like try to shape this around it and still come up short. Whereas, like you said, the rough isn't super penal. It's much more important to be in the right position than to always be on the fairway. So you're going to find some guys that don't have good, at the end of the tournament. And I know this is not maybe super useful, but when you're looking, or if you're an in-play bettor, if you're looking at, round by round stuff, there's going to be some of these guys where it's like, man, this guy hit like 6 fairways yesterday. How is he doing so well? It's like, well, go look at the shot by shot and look at how some of those holes open up. Like, he missed the fairway 5 times, but on these 5 holes, it was always in the right direction, where he still gave himself a very good shot at the screen. Like you said, the double greens is funny because it's basically like we have one for warm weather and one for cold weather. Yeah, they're different grasses, which is kind of ingenious.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah. If we're going to keep playing, we don't want to try to, obviously overseeding and changing it is a lot of pain. Just keep 2 greens. One of them goes dormant when it gets cold, and you start playing on the bent grass instead. So interesting as you watch it. Obviously, watching it is going to be a little trickier with the time.
Yes, the Wednesday PM start, so that you're playing DFS. We'll have all that on the site as well. You can check that out. Again, in getting your bets in too. Like this is a Wednesday PM tee off here in Tokyo. So
yeah, I'll try to have the newsletter out a little earlier, probably Wednesday morning rather than like 3 p.m. on Wednesday. But there's DFS, betting, everything. You don't have Thursday morning to tinker. You don't even have Wednesday night, really. Like it goes into Wednesday evening. We're doing an early tee off. So interesting tournament. Like we said, no cut, 70-man field, and a bunch of names you're not going to know at the bottom.
Yeah.
Which gives you things like, Keith Mitchell's 50 to 1 here. Vincent Norman, 45. Like there's going to be some odds that look a little off, but again, remind yourself who's in the field and what size field we have. And start looking at kind of the archetype of the golfer you want to bet here. It's going to be shorter prices than normal for me in this one for sure.
It's a weird layout too. As a par 70, we have an extra par 3 and an extra par 5. So we have 2 fewer par 4s, and then the distance on those are really wonky too. Like
it's almost like there's 2 buckets of par 4s.
Yes,
it's not
very
like
long and very short.
There's no middling ones. It's like, these are ball busting par 4s, and these are like super like wedge par 4s.
5 are 486 and longer. The other 5 are 425 and shorter. So we don't have any of that like your standard basic average for a par 5. So
you're hitting like 5 irons and wedges. It's very odd for some of these second shots. You kind of got to be good at both too. You can't just say, well, I have a guy who's great at long irons. Well, kind of needs to be handy with the wedge, decent around the green. Like you said, the greens in regulation does stay high out of the fairway rough. But at the same time, they're not big greens. They are pretty small. So there's going to be some heavy bunkering around these greens. You're going to have to be good out of the sand. You're going to have to be good around the green. So you're going to miss. You're not going to miss big, but there's still going to be a lot of chipping around the green. So somebody does need to have a little bit of that in their bag as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. A little smaller on the greens here, so you got to kind of have to have the whole thing here. And this again, we've talked about, and maybe bemoaned is the right word. And this swing season, it's hard. Like we don't have a ton of form. You're introducing a bunch of new guys here this week that we haven't even seen, and some of the others that haven't played. Shriners that didn't play Sanderson Farms. Some of them have, and I think that is a little bit of form to lean into. We don't have a lot of sticky course history here. So it's a kind of a tricky, and again, adding the other elements of small field, no cut, it's just a harder event to handicap. So, I think it's a nice place when you kind of get a feel for what's going on. If you wanted to save some pre-tournament bullets and add live, I think makes a lot of sense. I think you'd be able to find some advantageous matchups in tournaments when you get a feel for how it's playing and what matters and who's kind of playing well versus kind of going heavy pre-tournament. And at least that's kind of how I'm approaching it. I have one bet currently. I don't know that I'm going to make another pre-tournament. It just feels very awkward, but I don't know if you've fired at all or what your thoughts are. You said, obviously we're going shorter really no matter what we'd be looking to do here because it's just the nature of the board. But how are you kind of approaching the top of the board with some of the bigger names? Again, Xander, Colin, Sanjay are kind of your short guys.
I guess it's my chance to tell you who finishes second again. I had
You've been on a roll.
Poston faded a little. He was still very much in it, but
he was.
Adam Hadwin, and again, it happens on Sunday, so I don't watch it because I have football on basically any screen I'm watching any sort of sports on. But I always go back and look because I'm a glutton for punishment. And Adam Hadwin from the middle of the fucking fairway into the drink late on that par 5. That probably cost him at least a playoff. I mean, he'd played that hole well. So such is life. That would have been nice to cash like a 45, 50 to 1, but that is the nature of golf. Maybe I should be playing each way. So I feel like I do need to kind of help you guys out with somebody who's good. Maybe this is a top 5 bet then some of the guys I'm betting, but
okay.
I did find Grillo at 70.
Oh, nice.
So I did tell you on that.
That's a good number.
He's a good course fit for this. If you want to look at some of the guys that do match up, he's a guy we've bet over and over. It feels like I don't know if we ever made any money off him. Probably matchups, man.
I cashed the winner on Grillo at Colonial.
Oh yeah, you did have him in that one.
100.
Obviously towards the top, Xander is the class here. He's the best golfer in this field currently. There's a bunch of names that aren't too far behind, so I can't stomach that price. Even in a smaller field, it's like 675, 7 to 1. I'm not going to be super interested in betting him at the favorite. I don't know where Colin's at right now with his motivation. He's some of these bigger names too. They're big game hunters. They want to win in the spring. They're out here for sponsor reasons, or obviously Hideki loves to play in front of his hometown fans. But I don't know. If you made me bet somebody at the top of the board, it'd probably be Ricky, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that either. 16s on Ricky, it looks like is probably domestically.
Yeah, I found an 18, and even that it's Ishti Frida. No thanks.
Same thing. I mean, Morikawa, it hasn't been great when he's been here. And again, we're dealing off a pretty small sample. 45th here last year, 7th the year prior, 22nd. First time he was here back in 19. I'm not super excited about it, especially at the price, and the form hasn't been bad. A part of it is I think the bar for Colin Morikawa is a little bit higher than you would typically want to see. Though when I am running, in the last 24 rounds, Morikawa is tops. And just there's nothing that he really does poorly. He's going to find fairways. He's going to give himself birdie looks. Tee to green, he's fantastic. Good from the proximity ranges we need. Scrambling can be hit or miss, but scrambling, at least statistically based off of what Ron's done, looks a little bit easier here. So again, I don't want to overrate really good scramblers because it seems like it maybe is a little bit easier here. So I get the Morikawa price, it just isn't really interesting to me, and kind of a stay away. So only bet that I made is Grill, like you said.
Yeah.
I took a 55 on him. There were at the time 35s in the market. Felt like the 55 is a great number on Bet Rivers, and 70s have floated out there, and they're seeing longer numbers, 60s or so in other domestic books. So Grill has not been a popular click, and he's kind of streaky. Had played really well at the tail end of the season last year. But again, now at that point, we're talking about 2 months. So, am I giving him form credit? Like, that seems kind of problematic. It's been, quite a while. But again, he finished the season really strong. A bunch of T20s, was in contention, BMW, Tour Championship, St. Jude, like played some pretty decent golf. So 4th year last year seems like, again, a course fit in terms of like positional golf and stuff like that. So clicked on Griot. That's it. There's some other guys that I'm interested in, but none of the prices have made me want to kind of jump in here early. I mean, Keegan, you could sell me on some of the revenge Keegan stuff. Again,
price
all
sucks.
That aside, the price sucks. All this other aside, like the course fits really nice too. It's why he won here last year. It's why he's done well here. Every time he's teed it up. So that makes, again, he won last year, 7th year before, 13th year prior. So like he seems to like this place. Again, 22 is the best number I could see. And that's it's short.
Yeah, further down the board, and I'm trying to find some guys that just don't have like that glaring weakness. Some weeks we're like, hey, this guy can't putt for shit. We're still gonna bet him, or this guy's garbage around the green. It's not gonna matter. These greens are an acre each. If he's missing them, it's game over anyway. That's not going to come into play. This week, it is kind of an all-around game. Like, you have to be good enough off the tee. Longer drivers are going to help in some spots. Obviously, with these drivable par fours, it's going to be awesome to have just like a little flip wedge into these little greens. Give yourself a really nice, super pure bent grass. Like, if you give yourself a bunch of 8-footers, you're going to have a really good week. Like, it's just kind of how this is going to go. So if you can score on those, if you can score on the 2 scoreable par 5s, but it is like, you need an all-around game. And, further down the board, there are some guys that just don't have some glaring weaknesses that have had some nice form. I found a Svensson at 50. I'm probably going to make that a bet. Again, these are all going to be smaller bets this week. I'm not super excited about just hammering the board, but I am going to find 3-4 guys I like, and then maybe save a little bit for some live betting, look at matchups tomorrow afternoon. Aaron Rai. How are we feeling about Aaron Rai? Because that's another one too where I can't think of the expression I'm looking for. You can have them. Aaron Rai was 28th last week. Little up and down. Putting wasn't great, but he was, in it at times. This is another one too where I think his game is good enough leading into that putting where he can give himself a bunch of short ones that he'll make. He was decent last week, okay at over the end of the summer there. He did end up playing in St. Jude, but he's been good in like some of the softer events. He placed 12th at the Rocket Mortgage last year. He had some okay finishes, 20th at the Shriners. He's a little better swing season guy, and it's just like another one that's like 70 to 1.
I don't mind it. I mean, Bent he's not a good putter in general. Bent is the only thing that he's like okay at, putting surface wise, I believe. So that works. And again, accurate off the tee. I don't hate that. JJ Spawn's like the opposite. JJ Spawn is, a lot of the tee to green stuff is really good. A lot of the things I think we want here is really good. The putting is just atrocious. So if you want to have a team no putting, he's like, he's so bad on bent. JJ Spawn is a terrible bent grass putter. I mean, should we just bite the bullet and just take the Eric Cole? I mean, he's been so good, so consistent. 3rd last week. He was 4th at Fortinet. Sanderson Farms, it wasn't great. Off the tee was a struggle. The putting hasn't been really good, but he's been a really good putter all season long. Like, so I want to give him, like, the putting hasn't been that bad of late. So everything else has been really, really good. I mean, like 35 is not terrible relative to where some of these other guys are. And, he's just always kind of in the mix right now.
Take him or leave him was the phrase I was looking for. Because it just didn't sit in my head because take it or leave it is normally how you phrase that. 35 on Cole I could be sold on. Little weaker off the tee, but it's never, the US Open, his off the tee numbers were very bad, but that's kind of a course where I don't want to take those stats and like use that as a forward facing predictor. Like that was a very weird, not only the weather, but the way that course was set up. Correct me if I'm wrong, in LA, those fairways there was a lot of cockeyed fairways where, people were struggling with different parts of the game. I'm just trying to look like what is bringing his off the tee numbers down so much. Basically just kind of losing a stroke here, 2 strokes there over the course of a tournament. He had a bad Sanderson's Farms finish, but 4th at the Fortinet, 3rd at the Shriners. Yeah, if there's a 35, I'd bet that. I'm going to check what BetOnline has, I guess. I'm seeing 29 as the best price in the 2 books I have open right now.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Cole is a bad combination of both short off the tee and inaccurate off the tee. So that would be your, the anti-Eric Cole thing here. The approach game has been, awesome. Look at his field. He's 5th in this field in strokes gained approach over the last 50 rounds. Big sample of him being pretty awesome off the tee. So, Griot's in that mix as well. Griot's short off the tee like Cole, but significantly more accurate. So same thing, JJ Spawn, short off the tee, significantly more accurate. So Spawn's interesting, although the putting is just so bad. 55s is another guy on my short list. This one was really surprising. I looked at the board and I was like, why in the world is Cam Champ so short on the board? And do you know who's been playing really good golf? Cam Champ. I am really surprised. He looks like just not a profile of how we would think Cam Champ would be playing to. He's been really good from these proximity ranges. He's been really good tee to green, 9th at Sanderson Farms, 18th last week at the Shriners. So back-to-back T20s for him. He's played well here previously, which I think is a little bit interesting. At least he's made the trip. That I think matters a little bit to me. They're at least, it's kind of a unique, it's like, factoring the London game. Like, all right, when did they get to London? Have they gone to London before? Some of those things I think are a little bit interesting. And he played an 8th year last year, which is surprising to me as well. I'm like, why is he so short? And like, it looks like he's been better. Like good putting weeks has been a part of it, but like the tee to green stuff has been really good too. So I can't get there on like Cam Champ would be appealing if he was still at 100, where I would expect him to be, not 40 or 50. But that one caught me off guard. So let me, going to clip this when Cam Champ gets on a run and is in contention on Saturday. And it's like, we couldn't take Cam Champ at 50, but here he is again.
Yeah. Weird kind of form dichotomy where he was horseshit all summer. Really didn't have a good year, but has played well in the swing season. 9th, like you said, Sanderson's 18th at the Shriners, gained like 17 strokes between those 2 tournaments in total after, it had been a while. He played really well in Mexico in April against an alt field. Is that a good field now? Am I misremembering? Is that
not officially an alt field? It's
like John Rahm and then nobody?
It's Rahm, Finau, and no one else.
Yeah, I was going to say that the rest of that was the one Finau did win, that Rahm 2nd, and then Wu, Baccia, Smotherman, Cole, Grillo, Taylor Champ. It's kind of this field. Alejandro Tosti finished T10 in that one.
Toasty runs Toasty.
Toasty runs hot in Mexico. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, but he's not a guy I'm backing at 40-1, man. Anywhere.
No. Can't do it.
8th last year here, though. Maybe are we doing Are we doing top 40s? Are you going to do some positional stuff?
Top 40 in a 78-man field, no cut event.
Yeah.
It'll lay minus 250 on Cam Champ to T40 here.
Cam Champ, and again, Cam Champ top 20 is a plus number.
Okay.
That I could consider. It's almost 2-1. I think I could consider him to play well enough here.
Surprisingly, yes. That. Yeah, it really it threw me off, but here we are. The other one is, let me see what he's done of late. I can't think of what he's done. All right, 6th of the Shriners. 6th of the Shriners miscut at Shriners, 6th at Sanderson Farms, 17th at the Fortinet. How about Hubbard? Hubbard is 90s out there at Hubbard in some spots. You look at, like, I don't know, he's 8th in what I'm running this week in terms of just pretty good at everything. He's going to find fairways, give himself some birdie looks. Really kind of okay at everything. Let me see where he finished here previously. Yeah, I don't hate that. It's
here?
Yeah, he was here last year and he was 66th.
Okay.
Not good.
Yeah, back to 2 weeks. Back to 2 weeks ago, based off the number, I can find an 80 on him. See where I have him.
90 on FanDuel and Caesars.
Another one with not great off the tee numbers.
Yeah.
But again, some of it is just really bad weeks here and there. My God, he lost almost 8 off the tee over the summer at St. Jude. I'm gonna have to go look at what happened there. How do you do that? 7.8 tee to green. 66th to St. Jude. Well,
again, the similar profile.
Yeah, Sanderson, that was another one where he was one shot off the playoff. He bogeyed the final 2 holes, essentially shoots even par. He wins the Sanderson Farms Open Championship, whatever.
Yeah, plus accuracy.
He probably is pretty close to the number. I'm guessing he kind of missed on the number. His stats just don't look bad enough for him to have been playing too bad. He shot a 75-65. My goodness. 140. What was par at Shriner? 71. So he was 2 under par, and that cut was 3, I think. So he was 1 off the number with a very hot Friday. Yeah, consider him, but maybe another top 20 kind of thing.
Yeah, just to look back at, it's another very similar to the Griot, Spawns, the other guys we were talking about earlier. It's like he hangs back on distance off the tee. The accuracy is really good. But then when you look at like his proximity buckets, he's one of the better guys in the field at 200 plus over the last bit. So that helps because knowing that, his distance is going to affect him where he's going to have to hit more than say, 150, 175, 175 to 200. So that actually kind of works in his favor. So again, I don't know what I'm going to add here pre-tournaments, but these are some of the guys I'm going to be looking for once the event gets started, and maybe we can make some ads if things look like they're trending in the right direction.
Yeah, small bets, but so far Grillo 72, Rye 72, Svensson 50, and then like we alluded to, I don't hate Champ top 20.
I mean, it's been really
Champ top 20 plus 185 for me. That is a dead heat book, but I still kind of love it.
Yeah, I was surprised, and I was like, man, actually, it's been really, really good. Let me see. Yeah, can you bet T40s? I mean,
I really doubt they're going to put top 40 markets up for a 78-man field.
Yeah.
I'd be curious if there's anybody. And again, if you're listening to this later, if this isn't live, you're not taking this in live. If you're watching this later and you followed the Japanese tour closely, if there's somebody you love over there as a long price to top 40, I'd be interested in that as well. Like, I'd just love to hear your thoughts on something like that, because there's a bunch of guys down near the bottom. I know a couple of these names. Kodaira is a guy who's plays on tour. Ishikawa plays on tour sometimes. But yeah, those are big numbers. Like, there's something interesting about I'm gonna have to go look back at previous Zozos and see if there were some Japanese players that snuck their way into the top 30.
So here's one. I got one for you. I got a good one for you. I'm gonna butcher his last name. Ryo Hisa Tsunsin. That's my best version of that. 12th year last year. But when you looking at some of the stuff that we have here, limited sample, but pretty solid all around game. Let me see if I can find any more information on this.
One more time, say his name.
Ryo. Last name is
Hitsatsunse.
Yeah, there you go.
Hitsatsunse. I don't know. He's
Putting
about
is
the
bad.
same price. Everybody's like plus 180. Like even the bottom guys, the really long names like Trevor Where Below. I'm never sure if I say that guy's name right. He's like 8-1 to top 20. Like you're just not going to get huge prices on some of these.
Yeah,
That's
so the best
interesting.
version for him to T20. So if you have domestics and you can bet on MGM at all, plus 225 is the best
Mhm.
in market, and they actually pay ties in full. So really rare for them to have the best in market prices on any of these finishing position bets. So there's actually a few guys that they have some decent. Our guy Eckroat plus 275 to T20 has not been in form whatsoever.
That'll
But
be
we'll get back
my
there.
mission for the week is to figure out how to say that guy's last name.
I did not do it
So,
well.
I know you did absolutely terrible at that.
Ryohisa, we will say.
We'll just
And,
call him
yeah,
Ryo H.
Yeah, Ryo H.
I
There's
know.
probably another Ryo H. I think there's a couple of Ryos in the field.
There's actually, that was part of the issue where I made you say it again because I'm like, man, did he say the other Ryo's name just that poorly that
It's
I'm like,
fair.
he was clearly wasn't trying to say Ishikawa.
It was not.
There's a Ryutaro Nagano. I didn't know if you'd shorten him up as well. So, all right, I'll play a little top 20 on him. So, 3 outrights, 2 top 20s. It's probably my card for now. I'll look at matchups, see what we have. Full tournament matchups get a little dicey on these non-cut events because, man, there's just, if you're playing a dog or you're playing kind of a feast or famine golfer, you just give him 4 shots at having a really bad round. Like that, nothing more maddening than just sitting on a 6-stroke lead for 3 rounds and then he goes out on Sunday and blows up and he doesn't care because he's clearly not going to win the tournament. A couple of guys sitting around 40th and your guys just shits the bed. So I usually go lighter on these non-cuts, but I guess I got to kind of figure it out as we're going to have more of these heading into this year.
Yeah, if you want all the good stuff that Ron's going to do, our guy PJ Splits 101, you need to take advantage of our swing season promo. Swing 50 is going to get you a fantastic deal for not just the swing season, but it's going to get you all of our 2024 golf coverage to the end of the Tour Championship, which is where you want to be. Take advantage of that. Swing 50 gets you in our Discord, gets you all of our official plays, gets access to our customizable stat database. If you want to start to build out some models of your own, see who's in form, you play around with lots of different ways that you can model out golf tournaments. And our tool has all of that and is continuing to get a lot of work here and attention in the offseason. Excited where we're going to be there. But Swing 50 is going to get you the best deal that we're going to have probably all year long. It's cheaper than buying the year when it comes to like when it's February and you're like really interested in the farmers again and like the full field events, you're going to be paying significantly more than if you just would have taken advantage of the swing season deal. So check that out on the site, betsportsgolf.com. Swing 50 is the promo code for that.
Oh, I definitely hit the wrong overlay. This is why we leave Dan in charge of this sort of stuff. I've maybe it says, oh, boom, I fixed it. I know I clicked that because I thought I was being helpful. But yeah, pretty good promo, 25% off. We'll run that through the end of the year, honestly, if I'm being honest, and I am being honest. So Dan fixed it. Thank you, Dan. Producer Dan, doing a great job today. You guys are doing a great job. Thanks for the comments. Looks like our guy. Oh man.
Oh, you walked into that one.
Abby. Mrs. Abby here says Ryo, one of the best Japan golfers in the field.
See?
No cut event. Don't get tricked into betting a miss the cut bet with your buddies in this one. You can play that trick on a girlfriend if you have one, make a side bet on missing the cut and get up early and watch this tournament. I guess I will not probably be getting up too early, but what time are these like late tee times? Is this like the late tee? Well, that's the thing. We don't have waves either. So like, am I going to wake up and watch golf or is it just over when I wake up?
It's over when you wake up. Tokyo is 12 hours from Central Time difference, I think. So yeah, you're it's PM golf. It's PM. Yeah. It's when the wife falls asleep on the couch golf. Then it's not early morning golf.
Yeah. I go to bed at like 10 and get up at 5. So essentially like the exact hours I'm sleeping are 10, whatever.
Correct.
I guess I'll catch the replays, guys. I don't get to bitch about golf coverage this week. Oh, I can't watch golf, I guess. Well, it's because you're sleeping, Andy. So, yeah, hit us up on Twitter if you have anything. At AndyMSFW, at RY Noonan, at BetSports Golf. Go follow Ron. Check out the free preview on the site, betsportsgolf.com. And yeah, we'll catch you next time we catch you for the next tournament, guys. 2 weeks from now.